But lastly, you have private security companies, that association that has expressed concern over ZNS's establishment of Eagle Security Services. I extracted a document. I attended the launch, by the way, where different journalists were in attendance at ZNS Chamba Valley there. Hope my colleagues in the control room have managed to extract the pictures so that we could use them as a basis for analysis. But it's important for me to mention from the outset that ZNS is not only established by the Constitution of Zambia, but the principle of the Principal Act, which is basically the ZNS Act. The security companies that are crying foul, including the association, should understand that what they are doing is what ZNS was established for. Somebody thought that we needed the private sector. It is the private sector that grabbed what ZNS is supposed to do. Zambia National Service's job is to provide a service. It is just beyond just the competition that they are scared of. Now, when you look at this particular launch, part of the focus is not only security. It is focusing on many other areas of trading, also bus services, also issues of blocks and pavers. Now, what ZNS is doing is to create decent jobs. It is also indisputable that the private security companies cannot consume all the uneducated citizens in the country. They are not being sincere. They have all picked only a handful. The unemployment levels in the country are high. Government must make a decision. There are many brothers and sisters that are looking for jobs. They can't find them and they have no papers. So we must be sincere with one another before we get to how ZNS is established. Zambia National Services' job is to provide a service to the people of Zambia as a whole, not to get into the competition. And for your own record, some of the things that are being done, I'll give you an example. This is why you can contract, part of their job is a service. You can contract ZNS to do a road. For many years they've been doing that. You can contract ZNS, they will do a farm. They can come with a tractor and till a farm for you. ZNS is composed of all the professions, doctors, nurses, name them, carpenters and so on, including farming or agriculture. That is how this particular institution is established. So for people who believe what they are doing is strange, they must wake up and realize that the act itself, which establishes this before they were born, some of them, and before they even thought of a private security company, allows them to do all these things, except we have not been using ZNS. Previously, in the first one-party state, all those that intended to be civil servants needed to go to ZNS to learn all these skills. Carpentry, welding, agriculture, just different skills. Engineering, like the General Sorochi is an engineer. That's how it is. Now, there should be nothing to fear because ZNS is providing a service, whereas private security companies are in business. That's the difference there. Amid swelling numbers of unemployed citizens looking for food, we must be serious. In fact, in some countries, they will not even allow a private company to run. In addition to that, here's the competition side. Most likely, ZNS will provide better salaries than most of this. What that creates where there is a monopoly. Because what has been happening, which you can't see in this country, from Chifokolo, is that there has been cartels. I'll give you an example of Millers Association. It was a clear cartel. They will come up with an agreed upon position, then they will go to government and say, we can only go up to here. You can't run the country that way. Countries that are developed are never manipulated like that. Similarly, when people are forming associations, instead of doing it for bargaining purposes and engaging, they create cartels, just like oil supplies. When they create cartels, they become a monopoly and they're paying the same price and the minimum is sealed. The government starts dancing to their tune. When government is the one that creates an environment for them. So what is the right thing to do? Those that are doing philosophy. They've done ethical theories. I'm sure there's very little, of course, in those that are doing media law and ethics. When you're just beginning the course, you do deal with the theory of utilitarianism. I'm sure you remember it. The Kantianism by Immanuel Kant. Okay? Now, it is such principles that should inform the decision. The consequentialists or consequentialism who focus more on what should prescribe what is good is the result. Then you have Kantianists who believe in the action itself, that the action, the process justifies the end. For them, they are more concerned about duty. Now, the issue of ZNS is about duty as a duty theory, where they have an obligation to provide a service by law. Zambia National Service. Their service is cross-cutting to society, starting from farming, doing the roads, doing drainages, offering carpentry, offering welding, and all these things. When you liberalize the economy, you allow other players. Other players should not come and dominate and want to remove you. This is what the private sector, in the context of security associations, are trying to do. And yet they can't consume everybody. The fears now on who provides the best quality. Perhaps the emergence of ZNS security services will also provide some security seriousness by private sector security companies on how it ought to be done, because they're coming with a skill, well trained in how to deal with extreme cases of insecurity. Then we can raise the bar of security companies in the country. That is a component that is coming. All those lubricants, oil, we are complaining that there have been so many cartels in the supply of oil. ZNS has come on board. They have studied the situation. Government has first studied the situation. They started with Millimil. When the opposition were busy politicizing the situation, they didn't know where they were going. ZNS comes on board. They cried foul that they'll kill the private milling companies. But what has happened? Because of insistence on the reduced price of Millimil by ZNS, private companies now, government is trying to work with citizens. They have signed MOUs with a number of private milling companies. Mushe Milling is producing ZNS Millimil. Central Milling in Lusaka is producing this ZNS Millimil. Chimsoro in Kapiri is producing ZNS Millimil. And that is how you can maintain, or rather, we can have the equilibrium, which you learn about. You can have a balance for the people of Zambia. So they are now getting into lubricants, they are getting into oils. You should take it, it is government that wants to participate, so that the fears that you are having that certain things were relegated to the private sector and thereby dominating, manipulating, creating cartels to the disadvantage of citizens, government is coming on board. Other governments, yes, I've heard the indication that I should be winding up. Other governments are actually working with their people. I gave an example of China. In Hebei province, where they are running a farm block, a park, they are exporting fruits and vegetables to other European countries. Government has 50%, citizens are 50%. That's how governments are running. It's a balance. We can get there as a country as well. It can only work for us that way. So let us not cry. There is no killing. There is raising the bar and quality assurance. More participants, that is for the better in the country. So there should be nothing to fear. They are not registering you. They are not closing private companies. They are only complementing what you are doing and also raising the bar of security and showing that this is what we should provide for the people of Zambia. I thought I needed to end there with my analysis.